Private medical colleges have finally agreed to return or adjust the excess fees charged from students following the government's ultimatum to punish them on defrauding charges. This has come as a respite to the students and guardians, who have long been compelled to bear the brunt of exorbitant fees due to high-handedness of medical mafias. Good morning, I'm Amit Pakril and these are the top stories this hour. Prime Minister Oli undergoing treatment at intensive care unit following appendicitis operation. Doctors say the Premier's health is stable. Private medical colleges finally agreed to return the excess fees taken from students following government's ultimatum, vow to abide by government's fee criteria from today. Shiv Sena Chief Uddhav Thackeray set to be next Chief Minister of Indian state of Maharashtra after BJP leader ended his 80-hour second term before facing a floor test ordered by Supreme Court. And Real Madrid, Manchester City and Tottenham Hotspur enter the knockout round of the Champions League. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli is undergoing treatment at intensive care unit at Manomohan Cardiothoracic, Vascular and Transplant Center. Meanwhile, he has been removed from ventilator following improvement in his health condition. PM Oli had undergone appendicitis operation at 9 a.m. yesterday. During the diagnosis, he was found to have suffered with peritonitis as well. Doctors say peritonitis is an infection of the peritoneum, or silk-like membranes of the inner abdominal wall. It can be caused by a rupture of the abdomen or other medical complications. Doctors say that the Prime Minister's health condition is stable and improving. Home Minister Ram Bahadur Thapa, Education Minister Giriraj Pokhrel, NCP leader Narayan Kajashresth, among others, had paid a visit to Premier at the hospital yesterday. The private medical colleges have agreed to return or adjust the excess fees charged from students following the government's ultimatum to penalize them on defrauding charges. The colleges had presented a commitment letter yesterday before agreeing to abide by the government's directive last night. A two-point agreement in this regard was forced between the representatives of Education Ministry and the operators of private medical colleges last night. As per the agreement, the process to return or adjust the extra fees charged from students would begin from today. Likewise, the admission of students for current and upcoming fiscal year would be carried out following universities' consent, in line with the fee structure determined by the Medical Education Commission. And time now for a short break. For more news, do stay with us. Welcome back after the break. Nepal and China have agreed to begin works for preparing the detailed project report for the Rasuagari-Kathmandu Railway at the earliest. The fifth meeting of representatives from the two countries signed an agreement in the capital yesterday and divided the responsibilities for the DPR. Based on the agreement, China will carry out geological studies and mapping, while Nepal will carry out the environmental impact assessment and provide required security. Both the countries had signed an agreement to initiate the DPR works during the visit of Chinese President Xi Jinping last month. According to Secretary at the Ministry of Physical Infrastructure and Transportation, Devendra Karki, the two countries will now finalize the work plan and proceed accordingly. China had carried out pre-feasibility study of the Rasuagari-Kathmandu Railway last year. The bilateral relations between Nepal and India yet again hit a snag after India released its map including Nepal's Kalapani region as its own, despite nationwide outcry to resolve the issue through diplomatic dialogues. So far, no remarkable steps have been taken and both sides have stood firm on the claims of region. The Institute of Foreign Affairs, that could play a crucial role in taking initiative on behalf of Nepal too, has remained indifferent. We have a report.
Historical, geographical and scientific evidences show around 400 square kilometer region between Kalapani and Limpiadhura belongs to Nepal. However, despite Nepal government expressing reservations against the recently released Indian political map, the southern neighbor has remained adamant on its claim of the region. There has been a call for discussions including both the sides to resolve the issue and the need for concerned government units to actively initiate dialogues at the earliest. However, One such organization that can play a crucial role in leading the campaign, the Institute of Foreign Affairs, has so far remained indifferent.
जति पनि हामीसँग सजीव प्रमाणहरू छन्, हामीसँग जुन प्रकारका पूर्जाहरू छन्, डकुमेन्टहरू छन्, ती सबैलाई सङ्गठित अर्गनाइज गरेर राज्यलाई भोलि नेगोसिएसनमा जाँदाखेरि अथवा कुन प्रकारको डिप्लोमेटिक मेजर्स राज्यले चाहिँ अवलम्बन गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने हिसाबले चाहिँ हामीले एउटा पोलिसी रेकमेन्ड गर्नको लागि चाहिँ अहिले पिआरआईसँग मिलेर पोलिसी रिसर्च इन्स्टिट्युटसँग मिलेर चाहिँ आइएफएले चाहिँ एउटा सघन प्रकारको एउटा गम्भीर अध्ययन रिसर्चलाई चाहिँ हामी अगाडि बढाउन खोजिराखेका छौँ.
The Institute of Foreign Affairs is jointly organizing the upcoming Sagarmatha dialogue. It was also assigned to work as a secretariat. However, the government had to form a separate secretariat, citing lack of infrastructure and resources at the institute. The government had intended to build the institute as a public think tank. However, widespread bureaucracy has rendered the institute ineffective.
अब त्यसमा हाम्रो क्षमता नै निर्माण नभएको हो. त्यो क्षमता भनेको मैले हेर्ने दृष्टिकोण निर्माण हुनको लागि एउटा धेरै रिसोर्सेसहरु आवश्यक पर्छ. इन्टेलेक्चुअल रिसोर्स पनि आवश्यक पर्यो र इन्टेलेक्चुअल रिसोर्सलाई एक्सप्लोर गर्न फाइनान्शियल रिसोर्स पनि आवश्यक पर्यो. त्यो फाइनान्शियल रिसोर्सलाई जुटाइदिनको लागि पोलिटिकल प्रोसेस र पोलिटिकल कमिटमेन्ट पनि आवश्यक पर्यो. भन्दा हामीले अहिले यो तीनटै कुरा हामी पछि छौं.
There is a call for the government to further capacitate the institute as it can play a crucial role in supporting the government with important decisions and advocate and internationalize issues of national interest.
The international update. In India, Shiv Sena chief Uddhav Thackeray is set to be the next chief minister of Maharashtra after the BJP's Devendra Fadnavis ended his 80-hour second term before facing a floor test ordered by the Supreme Court. Fadnavis resigned shortly after Nationalist Congress Party NCP leader Ajit Pawar quit as his deputy, unable to win over MLAs to help the BJP retain power. Uddhav Thackeray will be sworn in on Thursday as chief minister of Shiv Sena NCP Congress government, an unthinkable alliance because of his ideologically mismatched constituents. Ajit Pawar, who overnight had animaled the BJP Saturday morning coup, is back in the NCP fold, according to sources. He met his uncle and NCP chief Sharad Pawar in Mumbai on Tuesday evening. The BJP, which won 105 seats in 288-member Maharashtra Assembly, needed 40 MLAs to prove a majority. The party had banked on Ajit Pawar to bring in 54 NCP MLAs, but the gamble didn't pay. Hardly anyone followed. Ajit Dada Maharashtra will have a Sena chief minister after 20 years, but Thackeray has chief minister for the first time. In the election last month, Uddhav Thackeray's son Aditya became the first of his family to ever contest the election. Governor Fakat Singh Kosiyari had called a special assembly session at 8 a.m. for the oath-taking of newly elected MLAs. And time now for another short break. For more news, do stay with us. In our public voice segment, we asked the residents of Surkhet what should be done to better manage vehicle parking. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public voice.
ट्राफिकहरुले पनि राम्रोसँग काम गरिराछैनन् के उहाँहरुको पनि दोष छ एउटा किनभने चोकमा गएर उहाँहरुले हेरिने काम हो भने चाहिँ उहाँहरु चाहिँ सर र बाइकमा हिँड्नुहुन्छ गाडीमा हिँड्नुहुन्छ बस सिटी लाउनु भयो हिँडिहाल्नु भयो
सबैभन्दा पहिला फुटपाथ दिनेलाई व्यवस्थापन गर्नु पर्यो यहाँ चाहिँ तपाईको चाहिँ ट्राफिक नियमको पालना भन्ने कुरा केही पनि छैन जेब्रा क्रसिङको संख्या बढाउने र यो अटो रिक्साको दरलाई घटाउने र खाल्डाखुली सडक टाल्ने गर्यो भने पक्कै पनि यो समस्या कम हुन्थ्यो कि जस्तो लाग्छ
It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
And the question is, why have ministries failed to record progress despite having favorable working environment? And options are A, weak political leadership, B, disobedient officials, and C, weakness in mechanism. The voting is on. Type heading WS, select your option A, B, or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Now the sports update.
Sports news.
Real Madrid, Manchester City and Tottenham Hotspur have entered the knockout round in the Champions League. Real Madrid, who had already qualified to the knockout stage from Group A, were held for a 2-2 draw by Paris Saint-Germain in a dramatic draw at Santiago Bernabeu. In form forward Karim Benzema put Real ahead before PSG saw first half penalty and red card for Real Madrid goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois overturned a VAR review. Benzema made it 2-0 with a header in the 79th minute by Kylian Mbappe, and substitute Pablo Sarabia equalized for PSG. Likewise, Jose Mourinho inspired Tottenham comeback as they came back to beat Olympiacos 4-2 in another match. Tottenham had conceded 2 goals in 20 minutes, but pulled one back before half-time. Harry Kane later equalized for the Spurs. He then noted in a free kick from Christian Eriksen to make it 4-2. Likewise, Manchester City played a 1-1 draw against Shakhtar Donetsk to enter the last 16 as group winners. In another match, Paulo Dybala's goal proved the difference as Juventus beat Atletico Madrid 1-0. Juventus had already qualified to the knockout stage. Dybala was a constant threat to Atletico and capped his display with a memorable goal just before half-time. It's time now for our special segment, Laugh Out Loud.
The Oli-led government recently went through the much-awaited cabinet reshuffle. A number of ministers were sacked, while some new faces and some old faces very well summed up the cabinet reshuffle that was done after prolonged deliberations. The changes were in the cards after Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli had not minced words in public gatherings, expressing his discontent at the modus operandi of the honourable ministers. Political analysts and public at large, however, were left dismayed as the Minister for Water Resources, Beena Magar, remained intact in the new cabinet, while Minister for Labour, Employment and Social Welfare, Gokarna Bisto, was sacked. Minister Beena Magar's potential has not been hidden from anybody following the Melamchi drinking project debacle. It may be recalled one more time that Minister Magar in April 2017 had claimed of bringing Melamchi water to the capital within 6 months of time. But 2 years later, the Melamchi project remained stranded. Equally surprising was the sacking of Gokarna Bisto, who in Oli's words itself had led the government's social welfare program to perfection. Minister Bisto was also committed to end any kind of malpractices seen in the foreign employment sector. This is Bipashna Thamang for Kantipur News Desk.
And before we wrap up, a reminder of the top stories. Prime Minister Oli undergoing treatment at intensive care unit following appendicitis operation. Doctors say the Premier's health is improving. Private medical colleges finally agreed to return the excess fees taken from students following government's ultimatum, while to abide by government's fee criteria from today. Shiv Sena Chief Uddhav Thackeray is said to be next Chief Minister of Indian state of Maharashtra after BJP leader ended his 80-hour second term before facing a floor test ordered by Supreme Court. And Real Madrid, Manchester City and Tottenham Hotspur enter the knockout round of the Champions League. And that's all for this hour. Keep watching Kantipur Television SD for more news and entertainment. Have a good day.